then we've got, this is an interesting one. And this is another free speech issue. As you know, there's been a lot of free speech problems when it comes to social media and what's allowed, what's not, what's hate speech, and all these crazy things. But here's another one that kind of is in its own world as well. And I feel this ties into the whole bullying thing as well. And I'm going to let you kind of take it from here. But tell us about this girl. I'm going to try to, what's her name here? Pull up her name.
Okay, this is a story that I brought over to you because I thought it was interesting, and we've always talked about it before. The girl's name is Michelle Carter, and she had a boyfriend, and she texted him and called him and basically convinced him, or, you know, now I'm not going to say convinced, coerced him in a way to help commit suicide. And the kid actually did it. I mean, he called her on it, and he did it. He committed suicide. Not funny at all. But now that happened,
not funny at all, as I laugh.
Yeah, you know, she was trying to ruin his life, and he committed suicide. Now he's ruined her life, and she's had to go through the legal process, and she has been sentenced to involuntary manslaughter, something like 15 months.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, boom, lawyers come out of nowhere and say, nope, Supreme Court needs to hear this case. It is free speech protected, and the whole thing needs to be tossed.
So yeah, that's the angle, is like, you're allowed to say whatever you want to somebody. That's their fucking problem, what they do with it. Yeah, found guilty in 2017. She was sentenced 15 months. This happened in Massachusetts. Her 18-year-old boyfriend, Conrad Roy III.
Oh, the third, of course.
Conrad Roy. This guy,
if you want to jinx your child, name him the third.
Yeah, well, jinx him. If you're a third, you come from some good shit. You shouldn't be killing yourself. You know what I mean? I can understand other people that kill themselves, but if you're a third or a fourth, that's called lineage. You know what I mean? So, and in Massachusetts. So I'm going to guess that this motherfucking kid's family had a little bit of money. So it probably wasn't, life isn't so fucking bad. That being said, I assume that where do you fall on this issue? Should she be going to jail?
I'm a flip-flopper because when we always talked about this before, I always said this girl is guilty. I'd read the text messages. I didn't like the tone of the text messages. But then I heard this argument that it's a free speech issue, and it was like, bam, it is a free speech issue. As disgusting as this speech is, and it's probably the worst speech ever, it has to be protected.
So here's what this bitch said to this kid that pushed him over the edge in his car. So they discovered the text. He was contemplating this. He was in the car. He's reaching out to her. I don't know what to do. I don't know. What do I do? What do I do? And this is what she says. I thought you wanted to do this. The time is right and you're ready. You just need to do it. You can't keep living this way. Those are one of dozens of texts.
Terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible.
So now there's no doubt she had a hand in what he did. There's absolutely no doubt. But the question is, like you said, can't somebody just say what they want? So here's a little bit more.
Well, like what if somebody on the radio or on a podcast like us said, everyone jump off a building right now and 100 people do? Are we now on the hook for a mass suicide? You know what I'm saying? So it's
possibly.
Obviously what she did is horrible and obviously morally definitely wrong. But in a free speech society, the whole theory is all speech is protected. And this is just the newest person that's pushed the envelope even farther.
I don't know what's going on there. Oh, it's this stupid thing here. Hold on here. Fucking ad, these goddamn pop-up banner things. I apologize. What you just mentioned is a call to action. There's actually a legal thing to that. So, like, for instance, if you tell somebody to do something specific to, like, a group, you can be on the hook for that in some way. Or they're certainly going to try to blame you. When I think it's a one-on-one conversation, I can't see. Look, this is just a clear thing.
You also have a right-wing Supreme Court right now, right? So they're going to be like a freedom-friendly court a little bit, you would think. So I don't know, man. Look, you know, they tried to do Larry Flint back in the day is the one that we all know, the free speech case with Hustler. And that was pretty appalling, right? Now, this is horrible because it took a life, but it's just speech at the end of the day. If you say something to someone and they do something, I don't know that you can cross that bridge.
Well, here's what this would open up to me. And if I was the defense attorney, and I think I would have made a fucking amazing defense attorney, I would then say, okay, then this is what we need to do. Then we have to set a precedent. We have to go back now to every person's suicide, go through their text messages, and see who talks shit to them or bothered them or that we can now lay blame on for that suicide, because that's what you're doing with her. You're laying blame. Now, hers is an easy one to find. It's a direct conversation that pushed him over the edge. But what's to say a guy killed himself because he had a fight with his wife, and we go back and look through the text, and she's like, you ain't nothing but a bitch. You a piece of shit. You this, whatever. And she downs the guy. probably should have done that accent. But she just shits on the guy, right? I'm thinking of that RZA song, Domestic Violence. But she shits on the guy. He kills himself. Can now she be liable? Because we look back and say, hey, man, if anyone was all over this guy, it was you. Doesn't it kind of set a weird precedent?
Or what if you're like a horrible parent and you don't let your kid do anything, but you haven't broken any laws, then your kid kills himself, you know?
Right.
Or if you're just on the hook for some weird thing. Kids. Yeah, you don't let your kid go to the prom, the kid kills themselves. Or just something, you know.
Or that, yeah. Or you're never going to be good. No, you can't do this. You're never going to be good at anything.
And that's why the law won't split the hair. I think they're going to protect this girl's speech.
Here's a little more of what happened here. June 19th. Carter urges Roy to seek medical attention. So here she's trying to help him. This is why this may be a troll. See, Kid Chronic had an interesting point. Excuse me. She may have been trolling this guy, and this is when, like with Dave Chappelle, when keeping it real. She
definitely was trolling him. She was trolling him like, oh, you say you're going to do it, but you're not going to do it. Like, I don't think she actually thought he was, or maybe she was so sick of him talking like this, or whatever their weird relationship was. But she was definitely trolling him. And then I feel like the suicide is the reverse troll, right? Oh, you're trolling me. You say I won't do it. Well, boom, I'm going to do it. Now live with that.
Listen, that's why a lot of people do commit suicide. It's that I'll show you
theory.
This
is some real complex, like, interhuman relations.
Carter says, but the mental hospital would help you. I know you don't think it, but what I'm telling you, it would give them a chance. They could save your life. And he wrote, part of me wants you to try. Oh, she then says, part of me wants you to try something and fail just so you can get that help. He wrote, it doesn't help. Trust me. And she said, so what are you going to do then? You keep being all talk and no action. See, it's like it's suicide overload.
You know what, though,
how
dude?
much are you going to fucking
You know what, though, dude?
it?
How many of us have had, like, weird things with, like, teenage relations, like where you gave a friend, like, bad advice, or you just did something horrible that you would never do as an adult or whatever? These kids are pretty young. They're in high school. High school people are the worst fucking humans, dude. And this might be the worst case of the worst fucking humans, but is it really a crime? I don't know.
Listen, I keep reading this. I think we have to do a whole separate thing on this. These are classic, by the way. I know this is a sensitive subject, but I got to tell you. So on July 4th, she says, you're going to have to prove me wrong because I just don't think you really want to do this.
Oh,
you just keep pushing it off to another night. And you say it, but you never do it. And then she wrote, see, that's what I mean. You keep pushing it off. You said you're going to do it tonight. I mean,
you know, and here's
really
but okay, so
huh?
but what about this? So he says every night apparently that he wants to kill himself. You're his friend. What is your liability? Maybe you just get sick of fucking hearing it, and you're just pissed off, and you're like, okay, fucking do it, dude. I'm calling your bluff. Fucking do it. Every night you call me with this bullshit. Fuck you. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. And then all of a sudden he does it. Well, you didn't really want him to do it. You were just sick of the bullshit.
I'm a big free speech guy.
Oh man, this was gnarly.
I think if this girl goes to jail for that, it sets a very bad precedent. We're fucked. I think that it opens a can of worms and it's like Kid Chronic. It's what they do with the tweets with a lot of these people. Kevin Hart had it happen. All these people. You're gonna go dig back and find all the bad things someone said. So it's one way to destroy you and hurt your situation, but for it to maybe put you in jail. Yeah, because you may have done something.
There is a society and a family thing where there's a victim here now, so someone has to be punished, you know? And as horrible as what this girl did, she still should be punished by what the actual law is. And I don't know that just talking can be considered manslaughter.
I can tell you now that there's bullying going on every day, and all of these kids, none of these kids are getting in trouble. And they're bullying kids and saying all this shit and doing way worse than what I'm reading here, whatever she did to push him or troll him or whatever. And nobody's getting in trouble for this. You know what I mean? We have a bigger problem here of fucking with people. And I don't see that bullying is covered by free speech in anywhere or anything like that. But I think that, this is a scary precedent. I don't know if anybody else has gone to jail for something like this.
She goes to the Supreme Court, right? And she wins. She wins a Supreme Court decision. What does her life look like after that? What do? Do you go home? Do you go back to the school? I mean, you're like famous for texting someone that killed themselves.
Yeah. Well,
you know, so no matter what, there's a punishment here for her that she is literally living every day.
Absolutely. And I think there's also some guilt and pain here.
She'll never live that down. I mean, that's her for life.
This was her boyfriend. Let's keep it in mind that she felt this person was good enough in her eyes to love him and at least in some way like him or care about him. You know, that's in a sense, that's what a girlfriend or wife is, you know what I mean? And so she obviously had feelings for this person. Yeah, I think it gets old if your boyfriend's talking about suicide every fucking day.
Yeah. I agree. So it's hard to take the text in context. That's why you never go through someone's phone. If you look through someone's phone, a lot of times texts, it's hard to read the actual context and know people's relationships and how often they talked about this stuff or what the actual feelings were behind her statements.
There is no context.
Nonetheless,
in
though,
text
they're fucking
messages.
horrible statements. I mean, she shouldn't have done it. I mean, that's no doubt.
No, she's a total asshole and a bitch. You could be a little more delicate. Talk about fucking bedside manner. I mean,
yeah, or you could have reached out to his parents maybe,
yeah,
or like a counselor at school, or freaking called the suicide hotline. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, like ring the bells.
Telling him to do it is not the right thing to do in that situation.
I think they were leaving out that like she's like hitting the joint, like, fucking do it then, dude. I don't know. I mean, like, clearly she's
but if
no one in their right mind should be giving this kind of advice.
If the story here is that high school girls text really mean shit, then that's just, that's not even a story.
You hit on the head also. They did make a movie called Mean Girls. These girls are bitches, okay? And this girl's probably a bitchy chick. From what I'm looking at her, she certainly looks like it. Her eyebrows look like a Bratz doll. But, yeah, she went about it the wrong way. Should she do jail time over it? That's pretty scary.
Yep, it is.
All right.
How about another guy that's going to do jail time? Segue.
Well, we got a segue for some jail time. Is it break time? Why don't we take a break? We're going to get into our big story. We've been talking about women's soccer and whether they should be paid on the same level as the men. We talked about Ivanka Trump and how those French and Paris stand. They don't like her. And we even talked about this nutty girl that pushed her friend to the brink. Much more to come. Ruthless Politics.